Advances like smartphones and streaming have had a profound impact on entertainment in recent years, especially when it comes to the movies we watch and how we watch them. But has it all been for the better? We asked Ben Mankiewicz to take a closer look.
Hollywood has been reinventing itself for more than 100 years. Change is part of the culture.
You're Norma Desmond. Used to be in silent pictures, used to be big.
I am big. It's the pictures that got small.
But a pocket-sized Sunset Boulevard?
All right, Mr. DeMille, I'm ready for my close-up.
That's not a close-up.
Tell everybody where we are.
Well, we're at the Egyptian Theater.
Ted Sarandos is the co-CEO of Netflix, the world's largest streaming service.
This is the home of the very first Hollywood premiere. Built in 1922. Douglas Fairbanks premiered Robin Hood here. It was a big, spectacular night in Hollywood.
Today, Netflix owns the Egyptian Theater. The cost to renovate, $70 million.
Why'd you do that?
Seeing a movie, I mean, it has so many different aspects in people's lives. It inspires people. I can think back to my first time being in a movie theater watching Jaws at 11 years old, and I remember like it was yesterday. Popcorn went this way, and the soda went this way, and the audience screamed, and that's a very unique and different experience.
And an increasingly distant one. Screens are smaller, and ticket prices higher. It all leads to a common refrain. They don't make them like they used to.
How do you respond to that when you hear it?
It's probably like everything else. The thing we grew up on is what we want. And it's oftentimes the art forms move on and move in advance in ways that we kind of miss the old version of it. But they do make movies like they used to. And I think they're better than ever.
That, of course, is debatable. What's not in doubt is that the big movies are far more predictable than ever. In 2024, the top 15 films at the box office were all franchises, sequels, or reboots.
The business has become very stratified. Either movies are gigantic spectaculars built to make billions of dollars, or they're very small independent film, and there's not much in the middle anymore.
Movies still do really well, and big movies are still really big, right? But what's missing at the moment, I believe, is a range and a breadth of originality.
Tom Rothman, like Ted Sarandos, is among the most powerful people in this business. Rothman runs Sony's motion picture group. His films do air on Netflix, but only after they play in theaters.
You can have quality or you can have quantity. It is extremely difficult, if not impossible, to have both quality and quantity together. What does streaming have? It has quantity. Okay, so that's a very broad, wide net. And if it's not this, and I'll watch it for 10 minutes while I'm, feeding the cat. It's a very low bar.
How would you characterize the change in this business?
I hate to be cliche, but how much time do you have?
Nancy Meyers has made films that have earned more than $1.5 billion.
Bet you're glad you knocked on this door.
She's the writer and director of hit romantic comedies like The Holiday.
Ah! You're dating my daughter?
Something's Gotta Give, and it's complicated.
Not a great time to be feeling groovy.
Myers believes the shift to, let's call it the superhero formula, has killed off the types of movies many of us have loved for generations.
There is an enormous difference. I felt in the 90s a freedom to have ideas that people would want to make. I wasn't worried that they wouldn't be open to the kind of movies that I make.
Creativity and originality you saw as an asset.
Yes, I did. Character, wit, comedy, heart, big screen. I had no crystal ball. I couldn't see into the future of how movies were going to change.
The change, says Myers, means films like Chinatown, The Shawshank Redemption, even Dirty Dancing might not get made today.
Movies, it's always been a business to make money, always. But there was also they were less afraid, I think. They were less afraid. They took more chances.
I would love for the movies to be a little bit less like they used to.
Michael Schulman writes about movies and culture for The New Yorker. He's the author of the book Oscar Wars.
Every 2 seconds, there is a new Superman, Beetlejuice, Lion King, Alien, Mission Impossible, Bridget Jones, Indiana Jones. The goal is to not come up with the next great idea, but to excite, the shareholders about a sure bet for the next quarter.
Schulman says the movies we grew up on are still out there, produced by the independent studios behind Anora, The Brutalist.
This isn't the fight!
And other Best Picture nominees.
I often hear people say when the list comes out for the Academy Awards, well, I haven't heard of half these movies. If you go to the movie theater and they have 10 screens showing Captain America, Brave New World, and no Brutalist, then there's your problem.
Even now, the average American goes to the movie theaters twice a year. The average Netflix member watches 7 movies a month. So I feel like that's got to be good for the business. It's got to be good for the art of storytelling to have a platform and an audience, of 700 million people who still watch movies. When they could watch TikTok videos, they could watch YouTube, clips, they could be listening to podcasts, but they still watch movies.
What Ted Sarandos knows, and what many of us may be trying to avoid admitting, is this. If they don't make movies like they used to, it might be because we don't watch them like we used to.
There's all this opportunity, I think, to get the history of this art form, the history of storytelling, the history of humans on the screen. If the screen is, gigantic here, or good sized at home, or even small on your phone. I don't think it's sacrilege for someone to watch a great movie on their phone. I'd much rather them do that than not watch movies at all.
Tom Rothman and Nancy Myers concede there's value in streaming movies at home, but what they want, and what they believe the audience wants, is something cinematic.
A movie experience is not on your phone. A movie experience, and is a collective, big screen experience. You're there, you're in the dark.
It used to be called a dream factory, Hollywood, right? And somebody's dream is up on the screen. Somebody's version of a world that you get pulled into and you get sucked into. The lights come up at the end, and you've been somewhere, and you've had an experience when we're in a movie theater. That's what a movie is.
There are movies being made that meet the standard of bold originality, but there aren't many.
Nope.
And it feels, and maybe it always felt this at all moments where there was a sea change in Hollywood, but it feels like the hill is too steep to climb.
I love that question. The hill is steep, and the climb is hard. But it is not too steep, and it's not too hard if you're tough and bold enough, right? And if it were easy, anybody could do it. And it's not easy. And you have to be willing to risk, and you have to be willing to fail. Tighten up your boots and climb.